Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and another tutorial. Today we are going to make the Annette handbag. This is by Swoon. It comes in two sizes. This is the handbag size. There's also a much larger size for the commuter tote. Let me show you some of the features of this bag. So it has this really unique smiley shaped connector here. It's very easy to do whatever kind of connector you like on this. So if you wanted to make it your own, you could do that. You can make a hidden connector if you're using a non-fraying fabric on the front. It's a very versatile pattern. You can make it in cottons, you can make it in vinyls, you can make it in anything. It's very domestic machine friendly. It has these two kind of side pockets here and an adjustable crossbody strap. What I love about it is the unique zipper shape. Look at that. That is the hardest part of this bag, is that zipper, but it's really not too bad at all. On the inside, it's quite roomy. In this tutorial, the pattern doesn't come with a slip pocket, but I always put a slip pocket in mine. And again, I do the zipper overlay as I do with all of my bags as well. So you know I have classes on those. Interfacings in this bag. In the bottom, I have a piece of Peltex. I've used Pretty in Pink Sew Foam as my main stabilizer from Galaxy Customs. You can use Calla Flex Foam or Biani Soft and Stable. Any kind of bag making foam is fine. For my cotton pieces, I used EB Fuse Light. My front panel here is just a cotton that I got at Fabricland. Same with my lining. They're just things that I had left over in my stash that I used. All my hardware is from Emmaline bags. This vinyl is the Loon Black Connect vinyl from Galaxy Customs. What else? Oh, all my zippers and zipper pulls are from Blue Calla. I honestly think that's all there is to this bag. This is a very beginner friendly bag. Again, if we did make this bag for the Sew Along class, for the May 2022 Sew Along class. So if you need a more in-depth type lesson for this bag, you can definitely join the membership side, even just for 1 month, to watch the replays of the 8 hours of Sew Along classes that we have making this bag, where it's slowed down, real time, questions are answered, that kind of thing. It's all pre-recorded, of course, because those classes were live in May. But yeah, if you need a little bit more, you could join that side for a month, or come and join us for the current class that we may have coming on. Besides that, what is there to say about this bag? Again, it's from Swoon. I'll put links for everything down below in the description, including how you can join where the Sew Along class was. Otherwise, how about we just get to making this bag?
Okay, so you're going to need some number 5 zipper tape, 2 number 5 zipper pulls, a slider, 2 swivel clasps, 2 D-rings, optional strap ends, and a zipper end, as well as your rivets. Okay, so I'm going to be using foam as my main interfacing. You need your exterior and lining bottom pieces, the exterior backed with Peltex outside of the seam allowances. Your side slip pocket pieces, your lining and exterior. Your side pieces, linings and exteriors. Your smiley face connectors, as I call them, and I have edge coated the raw edges. Your crossbody strap. 2 crossbody connector pieces, 2 handles, your exterior, 2 exterior main and 2 lining main panels, your zipper pocket and slip pocket pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and make my crossbody strap and my handles off camera. If you need a class for that, I have that down below in the description. Okay, so now you're going to attach foam to the side panels, the bottom, and the 2 main panels. I'm going to start with our smiley face connectors. So on the top parts here, what we're going to do is use a little bit of double-sided tape. You can do this on a domestic machine as well. These will be outside of the seam allowances. Then you're going to take those 4 sides and you're going to fold them into the center of that section, kind of lining it up with the edge of the smiley face there. And what this is doing is creating a 1 inch connector piece. So just double check that it measures 1 inch. Okay, and then from the top, we're going to put just small pieces of double-sided tape again at the bottom of the connectors here, outside of the seam allowances. You're going to measure down 3/4 of an inch from each side. And that is going to be your guide where you will place your rectangular ring. So slide your rectangular ring on and fold it over, securing with that double-sided tape that we just put on the back. You will do that for all 4 rectangular rings. I'm also going to just put another little bit of tape here, again outside of the seam allowances, and that's going to help us hold it in place on our exterior main panels. So I like to take a little slit where the marking for a rectangular ring is supposed to sit on our pattern piece. Find the centers of the top and bottom of the main pieces. Line your pattern piece up on the left-hand side, and then take a erasable pen or some chalk and draw a line, flip the pattern piece over, and do it mirrored on the other side as well. And that is going to give us the placement where the bottom of our rectangular rings are going to sit. So remove the 2 sides of tape, leaving the bottom one intact. Line the fold where the rectangular ring sits with those lines and stick it down. Once that looks even, go ahead and remove the tape from the bottom part and let it fall into place. And then we're going to go ahead and top stitch. So I don't want to have that ugly back and forth stay stitching here. So I'm pulling my threads long. I have my left zipper foot on so I can get nice and close to my hardware. Do not backstitch. Hold your threads tight. Once you get going, you can let them go. When you get close to your hardware, put your needle down and pivot and have your zipper foot going really nice and tight against that hardware. I'm going to use a scrap here just to protect my hardware from my walking foot, and then continue around. Take it nice and slow, following the shape of your smiley connector. I don't know if they're called smiley connectors. That's just what we were calling them in class, so it has stuck. Again, you come to the other connector, put your needle down when you're close, go straight across, put a scrap of vinyl underneath your walking foot so it doesn't scrape up or eat up your vinyl there. At this point, I'm going to just pull my starting thread, the bobbin thread, pull it through so I can pull through the top thread. And as I come back to that starting point, I'm going to make sure my needle goes down in that very first hole, pull my threads long, tug on that bobbin thread, pull up the top thread and pull it through so we have a nice seamless top stitch. Then tie these off, all 4 strands off with 3 or 4 knots. And if you're using a bonded thread like me, just give it a little bit of a burn to keep them in place. Okay, so for our side slip pocket pieces, you're going to mark the bottom centers and put the lining piece and the exterior piece right sides together, clip along that curved edge, and go along here with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Once that is done, you're going to put these wrong sides together, finger pressing that seam nice and flat. I hold mine in place with clips just so I know it's staying where it needs to be. And then we're going to top stitch here and then baste the other all the way around the curve to hold them all as one piece. Okay, top stitch is done. Now go all the way around the sides and the bottom curve just to baste them together. You will repeat this exact same thing with the other side slip pocket piece. Okay, so now let's work on our crossbody strap connectors. So I'm going to draw a center line down the center at 1 inch. I'm going to use some double-sided tape. Again, on a domestic machine, you can definitely do this as you will not be sewing over this. Fold those into the center line like so. And then take another piece of double-sided tape outside of where you will be top stitching. Grab your D-ring. And then fold one short end in and the other one up to meet into the center. Like so. And then measure down 3/4 of an inch from the folded end, and that is going to just give us a guideline where we will be stitching this to our side panels. Okay, so from the bottom of that V, you want to measure down 1 1/4 inches, nice and centered. So I'm using my 1-inch ruler centered there because it's very easy for my 1-inch connector to see where it needs to lay. Put some double-sided tape outside of the seam allowances again. Line it up with that ruler and stick it in place. Then we're going to go ahead and top stitch all the way around. Okay, so again, I'm pulling my threads long, so do not backstitch. We will tie them off so we get a nice seamless top stitch. Work your way along the bottom, up the top, pivot at that line that we drew. Go ahead and go across, needle down, pivot, pull your top thread through for that starting stitch right now. And then once again, when you're coming to the end, make sure your needle goes down in that starting hole where we first started stitching. Pull your threads long, pull the bobbin thread up to be able to pull your top thread through and tie them off again. Repeat with the other side panel connector. All right, so I actually went ahead and put some rivets in my connector to hold them in place. Now I'm finding the bottom centers of our slip pocket pieces and our side pockets. Line up that center. So both of these are right sides up. Now it is going to look like your side pocket is too big, and that is exactly what we want, as we want there to be a gap here for the side pocket. So go ahead and match up the raw edges on one side and the bottom. And when you get to this other side, this is where you're going to see it's going to billow in the center, and that is exactly what you want. Go ahead and match up the raw edges again here with that beautiful billow in the center, and then you are going to baste this in place. Okay, so as you can see, I did put some decorative rivets in here. I have them backed with scraps of Decovilla Heavy just behind the post to make sure that they are not going to pull through. Now pull out your exterior bottom piece and find the centers of both the short edges and the long edges. I like to put little snips in it, as the snips will not wash away and I will be able to see them when we're sewing. Then take the bottom piece right sides together with one of your main panels, match up that center and clip in place. And then we're going to go ahead and sew across here with a 1/2-inch seam allowance. Coco says hi. Okay, and then we want to top stitch this through the bottom panel, making sure that that seam is pointing towards the bottom panel. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder in the background. We have a huge thunderstorm going, so hopefully my power doesn't go out. But if you do hear the big booms, that is what you're hearing, is the thunderstorm. So I'm making sure my seam is still pointing to the bottom, and then this stitch will hold it in place. Now go ahead and do the exact same thing with the other side and the other main panel. Okay, so to prep our side panels here, on our pattern piece, we have these little notches for the start and stops of our zipper. So I've cut the little notch in the pattern pieces, marked it on my side panels, and I'm just clipping out like a little V here. So I will be able to see those later on when we go to attach our zipper. Now to attach our side panels, we're going to match up the center bottom of our side panel and the short side center of our bottom piece. Then bring it up and match it up to the top of our main panels. Now you'll also see I've trimmed the foam out of the very, very top of the seam allowances of the side panels, of the main and of the side panels here. And that's just to create a little less bulk when it goes to attach the zipper. Okay, and then go ahead and distribute the fabric evenly around the rest of the way and around that corner. You shouldn't have to do any snips. It seems to fit pretty perfect, but if you do, do it in the main panel, not in the side panels, within the seam allowances. I like to use a lot of clips around these curves just because they are curves. You could use staples if that's your preferred method as well, or you could also hand base this. I just use lots and lots of clips. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and stitch this in place with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. When you get to the corners, make sure you're very aware that everything is staying lined up and nothing is slipping, because it is a corner and our fabrics always seem to want to shift here. So take it nice and slow, clip by clip, and you should be fine. So if you hear Miss Coco crying in the background, it's only because we have a huge thunderstorm here and she is at my feet and a little bit scared, the poor baby. She really hates thunder. So everybody, please disregard her little whimpers. I don't want to send her upstairs while I'm doing this, so she is just going to cry a little bit at my feet here. Okay, so once this side is done, you would attach the other side in the exact same manner. Okay, so for our slip pocket pieces, or our lining pieces here, if you want to learn how to make these pockets, they are down below in the description. So just like we did with our main panels, you're going to take the bottom piece and the lining main panel, find your centers on the bottom piece, on the long edges and the short edges. Line them up along the bottom. And on this one side, we're going to do it slightly different than we did with the exterior because we want to leave an opening in the bottom for turning. This is slightly different than the pattern. So you're going to sew from the short edge to those lines with a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So it's a slightly larger seam allowance because we want our lining to fit nice and tight within the bag, so it makes it a little bit smaller. So that's one side done. Go ahead and do the other. And then to attach the other lining main panel, you're going to do the same thing on the other side, but you're going to sew all the way across with a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so we have the opening in the bottom of the bag and an opening in our pocket. For some reason, my camera decided to do this really funky slow motion thing, so I don't know how to fix it. So we're a little bit slow right here. So we're going to put our side panels on the same way we did with our exteriors, except for at the top here, we are going down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, branching out into a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then when you come back to the top, you're back to a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then go ahead and trim all of your seams up to about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, to prep our zipper, on one end on the back side, draw a line about 1 inch from the end. That'll help us get our zipper on nice and straight when it comes to putting on that zipper full. Again, my camera's doing this weird slow motion thing. Oh well. So on the opposite end of our zipper tape, we want to go ahead and fold in those ends at a 90-degree angle on one side. Secure that with clip. Go ahead with the other side of it, matching it as close as you possibly can to the first one, folding it over at a 90-degree angle, and then you're going to go ahead and baste these or hand baste these in place. Okay, and then you can go ahead and take your exterior and turn it right side out. We are coming to the hardest part of this pattern, which is the top zipper. Okay, so this is where those little notches that we cut in our side panels come into play. So pull your zipper tape apart, like so. You want for the main side, so I have my front of my bag faced up right now. I'm going to cut off the little tail off my zipper, and that 90-degree angle we are going to match right at that first notch on the left hand side of the right or the front of our bag. And then go ahead and clip the rest of that zipper right sides together with the exterior main panel. So make sure your zipper is face down here, or you will sew it on upside down. Clip it in place all the way across. I am pushing my side seams towards the side panel just to help reduce a little bit of the bulk with the zipper there. It helps for it to be facing to the side for a nice top stitch later on. Okay, and that other notch on this side, you're going to make sure you take your zipper tail and you're going to veer it down. So once you hit that notch, you're going to start veering it down. I'm going to hold it down and clip here, and that is to ensure that our zipper tail does not get caught in that seam allowance. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same with the opposite side, making sure our 90-degree angles match up at those notches, like so. Clip it in place all the way across to the other notch, and then veer that tail down again. Okay, and now I'm going to go pretty much from V to V is what I like to call it, on the side panels where it has that V. And we are going to stitch that zipper in place with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now you want to try to make sure your stitches are as straight as possible, because if they aren't, that will result in a wavy zipper. That's one of the hardest things about having a top zipper, I find, but go nice and slow and you should be okay. When you get to the seams, the side seams, make sure you put your needle down so you can do a pivot to follow the shape of the side panels. When you come to where the zipper veers away, make sure it veers down, and so the ends don't get caught in that seam allowance. Go ahead and do the same with the other side. Okay, so now I want to make sure that my zipper went on well. So this is the trick with the little lines on the back of my zipper tape. I have my handy dandy fork here, and I'm going to match up those lines I drew like that, and that'll guarantee that my zipper goes on straight. So I'm just double checking that everything looks good. The zipper cleared my seams, which is what we want. Nothing worse than a zipper that won't close. Now you're going to take your lining, you're going to take your exterior of your bag, put the exterior and the lining together, right sides together with the exterior on the inside. Tuck those tails in so they don't get caught in our stitching. So make sure they're right down and out of the way. First thing I like to start with is matching up these 4 seams the 4 side seams. I am just nesting my lining seams with my exterior seams, just again to even out that bulk. So go ahead and match up all 4 seams. Making sure everything is all tucked outside of the seam, like your hardware and your zipper tails. Do the same on the other side. Again, I use lots of clips just to make sure everything is staying in place, especially with this being a zipper top bag. So I'm just repeating on the other side. And then you're going to go ahead from the front and back and just evenly distribute that fabric across so everything is nice and straight with no nips or tucks for when we do our stitching here. Okay, so if I was taking this to my flatbed machine, I'd actually stitch them and follow that other line that we did to baste the zipper in place. But I am going to go ahead and do it from the inside, but I'm going to take it to my cylinder arm because this is exactly what I bought the cylinder arm for. It just makes things easier. But again, completely doable on a domestic machine. I would just recommend sewing from the inside of the bag just to make it a little bit easier. Or if you have a free arm on your machine, that would work too. So stitch all the way around with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so right in our V's here, I'm just going to do a little snip without cutting into my stitches. It'll just help the bag get the shape a little bit better when we turn this out. And then go ahead and turn it out through the opening in the bottom of the bag. Then stuff your lining into the bag and you're going to go ahead and top stitch all the way around the zipper to hold everything nice and neat in place. Once that is done, what we want to do is open up our zipper pocket, pull out that pocket, reach in through that opening in the pocket to grab the opening in the lining, pull it back up through that pocket like so, and sew that gap in the bottom with a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance to close up the bottom. Sew that bottom shut. Then push the lining back through the zipper pocket, making it nice in the bottom of the bag, ensuring you can't see it and that we caught everything. And then top stitch the opening in the bottom of the zipper pocket shut as well. And then once this is done, all you have to do is put your zipper pull back on, put your zipper tab on, and attach your handles, and then you are all done.
All right, that's it. That's all. See, it's a really fun make. It's a really quick make. I figured I can make this from cut to finish in about 5-ish hours. Again, the hardest part was that top zipper. Otherwise, it's an amazing make. I have made so many of these bags. This is one of the very first bags that I ever made in my sewing journey. Yeah. Anyways, if you haven't already and you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. And if you'd like to support my channel further, you can buy me a coffee down below. And I've also left below where you can join along for our sew along classes if that is something that you would like to explore as well. Anyways, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.